Welcome back to the PTP, everybody. I know you ain't heard our voices in a minute, but in case you guys forgot, we're going to reintroduce ourselves. My name is KJ Phillips.
B. Steve, a.k.a. Bryson Steve, you know.
And welcome back to the PTP, man. We missed y'all. I know we've been gone for a little minute. We've had some personal stuff go on the side, you know what I'm saying? But we're back and better than ever, and we're ready to push out this content for you guys.
Absolutely, bro. I've missed this, but I love doing this. Like, sports, that's right up my alley. I love this. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and trust me, y'all, we're going to be consistent. I promise y'all we're going to be back. Make sure y'all follow us on IG at PTP Takes. Yes. And we'll also be starting up a TikTok soon. And also, if you're watching us on YouTube, we appreciate y'all watching the episode. And yeah, man, just know we're going to get back into the sports. And I know there's a lot of stuff, that needs to be talked about in the sports world the last couple of years we've been going. Yeah. Trust me, we're going to get to that. But first, we're going to talk about the foundation of what the PTP is and what we follow. And that is college football, Bryson.
Yes, sir. College football is, like, to us, the mecca of sports. Like, there's no atmosphere, fans, like, the game, like, everything about college football is action-packed, and I love it more than anything. Like, I love the NFL too, but there's nothing like an atmosphere such as, like, a Penn State or, even an Ohio State, like
Ohio State,
you feel me? There's nothing like an atmosphere. Of course, you got the Bills and the NFL and stuff like that kind of stuff in the stadiums, but when it comes to college football, different type of vibe. That's why I love it.
Yeah, in which our first topic we're actually going to talk about while we were gone. If you guys recall from the last episode we ever had, which I'm not gonna lie, y'all, if y'all watched the episode, hey, that was a long time ago. Appreciate y'all for being day ones. Yeah. But if you remember, we talked about the state of college football and where it was coming before when Dion was announced as the new head coach of Colorado. Yes, so, Bryson, what do you think the state of college football is now compared to how it was back in, man? It's been a while.
It has been a while. I think the transfer portal and NIL have taken over since we last talked about it. I mean, players are virtually under contract like they are in the NFL. Obviously, the transfer portal is like the new recruiting. So you're not getting like 5 stars anymore. You're looking for an experienced veteran from another team to really lead your team to victory. So I think that's the biggest change that we saw from the last time we had this conversation.
And I think that also just to mention, especially recently, within the last couple of years, even the last champion, Michigan, which, Bryce as Ohio State fan, sorry I had to mention it, but they were really one of the teams that, probably one of the last teams of a dying breed. They're really one of the last teams of the dying breed that really didn't have much transfers on their team.
Yeah.
So now, you got the number 1 seed in the playoffs, which we will get to in a second, Oregon, which is filled with transfer talent, and even the top contenders on this playoff sheet are actually filled with a bunch of transfer talent. And that really is coming down to what the world of college football is now. It's turning into the NFL, where there's a lot of free agency, and you got players, taking deals and NIL deals, which I'm not gonna lie, the last couple of years have been absurd.
And it's like these players, they're not even trying to go to the draft because you can stay in college, make millions of dollars without even getting drafted. So it's like, why declare for the draft?
Yeah, especially you can make more just being a 5th-year senior than being a rookie in the NFL. I mean, that's something I would do, me personally. But let's get into the main conversation, which is the last time we were here, it was a 14 playoff.
It was.
Now we're in 2024, going into 2025, and now it is a 12-team playoff, man.
This is about to be chaos. First game is Saturday. And first game's Friday and Saturday.
Yeah.
When I tell you, I'm so excited for this. Just not only because, yours truly teams in it, but number 2, just a fan aspect. It's like a mini March Madness in college football. Like, we never have gotten anything like this. So I cannot wait to see how this unfolds. I'm so ready for this.
Yeah, especially since people like us who have been watching college football for a long time, there was a lot of teams in the BCS era that would love to be in a college football playoff system. That would have had a chance to compete for national titles in a multiple team playoff that was just more than just the top 2 teams or maybe even the top 3 teams that were left in the college football world. Because
to be honest, the 4-team playoff, it was good, like especially when they introduced it, but it got to a point where we kind of knew 3 out of the 4 teams every year. and there wasn't much parity. With this 12 team, I mean, we already have teams like SMU in there, Boise State, Arizona State. So that there's already parity. That's why I like it. I know there's some speculation on like seeding, and I'm gonna get into that because I think seeding could be better because it doesn't make sense for some quadrants that have loaded teams, but I think the parity that the 12-team playoff brings is great for the sport, man. I really do.
And getting into that, I will go first and take a bone and have a bone to pick with the committee about this shit. So first of all, I want to talk about the buys. Okay. And the buys, I guess they're cool. Rewarding conference champions with automatic bowl bids, which I don't have a problem with. I guess my main issue with this is, think about it. So if you win a college football playoff, or if you win a conference championship and you're going to the college football playoff, even if you aren't one of the top 4 bids, you still can get an automatic bid. Which, for instance, Clemson came into championship weekend, conference championship weekend. They literally had to win against SMU as their last straw to get into the playoff, and they did. Also with losses to Louisville. And they also got curb stomped early in the season to, was it Georgia, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so to say that, they ran through a Clemson, like they low-key had like, a little low-key year, they still stayed in the hunt, even with the loss to Louisville, who at the time was not a bad loss. Yeah. Obviously it'll come down to being a Stanford loss that would kill them, but at the same time.
That was crazy.
It was, Clemson that ultimately came on top against SMU in the conference championship and snuck themselves into the playoff. Now, there was a lot of debate about SMU and the Bama conversation.
And Alabama.
Which, when it comes down to the committee, obviously, I'm sorry, Bama fans. I'm sorry, all SEC fans. They made the right call putting SMU in.
And I can attest because you cannot go out there, and no offense, KJ, you can't lose to a mediocre Oklahoma. Not just lose, get absolutely dog walk. 3 points. That was bad. Y'all didn't sniff the end zone. You didn't sniff the end zone. What's going on? So I don't think you can put a team like that in. You don't go to the SEC championship. Mm-hmm. Wouldn't they finish in the SEC?
They finished with, I think it was 6-3.
Yeah, I mean, granted, the SEC is a gauntlet. Everybody knows that. But in this standpoint, when you're comparing somebody who went to their conference championship, I don't know if you can put Bama in there. I don't know. I don't think you can.
I don't know. Looking at these teams in this pool, man, I don't know because keep in mind, they played some of these teams in this pool. They did.
Tennessee beat them at home.
Tennessee beat them at home.
Texas took care of them early.
Now, although they did beat Georgia off of Ryan Williams Super Show,
but we gotta give them credit. They were curb stopping Georgia, and I still don't know how Georgia came back even to make that a game.
Yeah,
but
we're gonna get into Georgia later because I'm not gonna lie. Watching that game, I don't know Georgia had it in them to make it this far into the playoff. But so the reason why I say that is just because, say you win your conference championship, right? Mm-hmm. So, for instance, instead of playing, which there is a thing in college football where if you have a bye, you have too much time to get ready for an opponent. Absolutely. It makes you a weaker opponent for the team that's playing, especially if you have a game head start. Yes. So, honestly, in my opinion, this gives the edge to the 5 seed more because you're playing the worst auto bid seed, and you're also playing the worst championship or conference champion. Mm-hmm. So, in my opinion, and that's easily a breeze walk right into the semifinals. And
I'm not trying to be disrespectful to Arizona State. I really don't want to be disrespectful. Mm-hmm. But let's be real, guys. Whether Clemson or Texas, we know there's probably a 99% chance whoever comes out of that game is gonna end up beating Arizona State.
Absolutely.
Arizona State has no business waiting on anybody.
Absolutely.
Come on.
Absolutely.
They have no business.
And I was very high on Arizona State. Obviously, not many people know because we were on here, but I did like Scatty Bo. He was really good. Yeah, I really liked him. Bro. Yeah, he was easily, and in a Big 12 that really was predicted by everybody that Oklahoma State and Ollie Gordon was going to make a run for. Mm-hmm. Turns out it was Arizona State and Scatty that actually made a run for the Big 12 title and a college football playoff spot.
He's a beast, man.
So, without this, I'm sorry I got to give my shout out. Shout out Colorado. You know, Deion Sanders, Travis Hunter, Shador Sanders, my future, you know, franchise quarterback for the Raiders. You know, I mean, they put up a really good season. Even last season, you know, even though it was pretty, you know, underwhelming to end it, at the same time, they did have a really good year. I just want to touch on them briefly, Bryson. I know you have some words on them.
And you just have to applaud Coach Prime, one-win team. He's turned to 9-3. And they're going to the Alamo Bowl too.
Not to mention Heisman winner Travis Hunter. Yes. And
then Shador to me should have been in the top, at least in New York.
Yeah.
And not just because he was
I don't know, because Dylan Gabriel and I mean, I'm not saying the four that went were not qualified. They were obviously qualified. You know, Dylan Gabriel, top quarterback on the top team in the country. Ashton Jeanty, spectacular season, literally incredible season, historic, something we might never ever see again, or at least for the next 20 years.
Right.
And then Travis Hunter, once in a lifetime.
And that's a conversation.
Literally once in a lifetime. Yeah, that's a conversation.
Jeanty or Hunter. Yeah. Now, I had Hunter, but it was.
It was neck and neck.
It was neck and neck. I'm not even gonna cap. I'll say this. If Jeanty played in the Big 12 in the same conference as Travis Hunter, I think I would put Jeanty.
Well, not even that, just because you saw what Scatibo did even in the Big 12 as a running back. And he low-key climbed up the ranks. Imagine Jeanty started out like that as well.
Yeah.
And then also keep in mind, I have to mention Cam Ward also was a Heisman finalist.
He was.
So salute to him. I saw him play live. He looked really good. Yeah. You know, what they call him, the nonchalant quarterback.
Man, if he had a defense... Come on now.
They would easily be in this pool if they had a defense.
If he had a defense. And he was throwing, 400 a game. Man. So probably 4 touchdowns a game. So I really don't think that Miami's defense was stopping me this year. So that's just what it is, bro. So.
But yeah, so just to get back on topic real quick. So in my opinion, I kind of like how this is. You know, this is a trial run for the College Football Playoff Committee. I feel like they did do, as much as I hate to admit it, they did do somewhat of a good job this year.
They did.
I don't know about you, Bryce, when I was watching Selection Sunday, I thought they was going to crack like an egg.
Bama. I thought Bama was going to get in just because the name, the brand.
The brand, yes.
And they love SEC. They love it. No offense, because I know Oklahoma's SEC.
Hey, we are in that.
That's another change since we've been SEC. Got Oklahoma and Texas.
And even I know that we're kind of getting into this topic a little bit deeper, but I also think that because of the SEC growing and rising, conferences like the Big 10, you know, the ACC, maybe even the Big 12, they can start maybe forming super conferences, maybe get into a partnership or even
because that's where we're going. That's where we're going. I mean, we already putting advertisements on the jerseys. College football, I wouldn't say is ruined, but it's definitely done took a pivot where it's like, okay, I wish it was like how it was maybe even 5 years ago.
Yeah, I agree. Especially since, this new playoff, it takes away the New Year's Six Bowls, which debatably, were the biggest bowl games other than the 2 games in the national championship when it was the 4-team playoff. So now you got teams, players opting out of bowl games. Right. And now you even, like I saw a report the other day, I saw a whole team, or Marshall's team, they made a bowl and they even opted out of their bowl game. Obviously, they're going through a dramatic change, like a historic change we've ever seen in college football. It's like, what happened to bowl games, like traditional bowl games, like competing in like the Cheez-It Bowl,
Yeah, I couldn't imagine being Cam Ward in Miami. You put up that great season. Yes, they blew it at the end. Now you're in the Pop-Tarts Bowl, bro.
Competing for a bowl with a toaster.
Right. They are fighting to eat a Pop-Tart after the game. That's insane. Is that not insane? Like, that's crazy, bro.
That is crazy.
Man.
That is kind of crazy. So, I think the College Football Playoff Committee really, I know this next, they solved a bunch of other issues this year, with this new format. At the same time, obviously, we know it ain't ever going to be perfect. I mean, we know. But the best you could try to do is just, make sure the traditions of college football always kept. Yeah. And I think, even with conference championship games, because even that's starting to come into effect when it comes to playoff weekend, you could have teams like SMU who they were told if they lost, Bama was going to jump them. Which that was a real possibility. That's why going to Selection Sunday, everyone was sweating like crazy because they thought SMU was going to get left out because they lost to Clemson. So, I mean, I think that that is an issue that kind of needs to be solved as well, is making sure they maintain the priority-ship of conference championship games.
I'm gonna get into like who's the teams in there. So the teams in there, right? This is my biggest problem. And this is not even me being biased because I know people are going to say I'm being biased for Ohio State. There is no reason why Penn State and Notre Dame are seated higher than Ohio State. Notre Dame lost at home to Northern Illinois. Why are people forgetting that? Are you kidding me? Like, no way. 2, Penn State, we beat them at the crib. Their only test, they've lost. So they've lost to us. Then, of course, they were fortunate enough that we laid an egg in Columbus against Michigan and let them into the Big Ten championship. But then they lost their next test to Oregon. How are you putting them higher than us? And the thing is, poor Oregon, as much as I want to beat them and play them again, Oregon has to wait on the winner of Ohio State and Tennessee, while Georgia has to wait on the winner of Indiana and Notre Dame? Or Boise State's got to wait on the winner of SMU and Penn State. Like, the seeding this year, I agree with the 12-team expansion, but the seeding this year was terrible. Yes. And they have to definitely listen to the fans, take notes. Hey, next year, I say just go top 12, forget conference champ. I guess you do got to hold conference.
No, you do, because
you gotta
maintain conference.
But at least give the 1 seed an advantage. Right now, it looks like the 1 seed has the toughest road, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. Look at the other buys, and then look at Oregon, who they're waiting on, and then who they're possibly gonna have to play if they win. So
yeah, and obviously, my view of this bracket, they got the 12 teams right. I do like that interesting point, though, you bring up, is that y'all do have the head-to-head over most of these teams in this bracket. Like two of these teams in this bracket. Mm-hmm. And, Texas at 5, I agree with that. Penn State at 6 is interesting to me, especially since
they haven't beaten anybody. Let's just
and really their only impressive game, I would argue, was the Oregon game, which they did say their best performance for last, I guess, before.
And they lost. They still underperformed. They didn't underperform. They showed up because we're so used to them not being able to score more than 15 points a game.
Especially with Drew Aller behind center. I'm sorry.
He's garbage. And I heard he's coming back next year. We're applauding in the Big Ten. Thank you for coming back. You are garbage.
And speaking of that, obviously, we got to put this out there. We are both members. Since we started this podcast, we did cross both members of Kappa Psi Fraternity Incorporated. Yo to the good moves. So it's proud of us to see Indiana in this bracket. Yeah. So shout out H-Up. And shout out all the brothers out there.
Yes,
but also, it's interesting. Indiana's an interesting story to me. I really think that Indiana in this playoff, if they wanted to, could really make some noise in this bracket.
And
they really could.
Do I go into my first selection then?
All right, your first bold take. You want to get out your first bold take?
Indiana goes into South Bend and knocks off Notre Dame.
Wow.
They knock them off. And I'm not going to lie.
Signetti.
Marcus Freeman, you have something to prove, sir. Because every single big game I've ever seen you play outside of going into A&M, which we know they're fraudulent anyway, you lost. Mm-hmm. We had Kyle McCord last year, and you couldn't put us away. At home, y'all were wearing them pretty green jerseys, and we still came in y'all trap and took it over. Mm-hmm. So Notre Dame, I think, gets upset by Indiana. Mm-hmm. In South Bend.
And keep in mind, and also I want to note about all these games as well, all these first round games. Most of these games are in, almost freezing temperatures. Ooh. I think the one game that's not in freezing temperatures is Clemson and Texas, and that's a 60-degree game. So that might favor Texas, but all these other games, this is traditional, Big Ten football right here. Like this is, there's a lot of freezing cold out here. You're not gonna be able to throw the football, which most of these teams, or some of these teams in these later half of these games, other than Texas and Clemson, teams like Tennessee, teams like SMU. Notre Dame, they're run ball merchants, but also Indiana also has a passing game to themselves as well. So it's gonna be interesting to see what their game plan is for teams like Ohio State, SMU, Tennessee, SMU. How these teams are really gonna plan to play in these conditions, because it's not easy throwing and catching the ball in 20, 30-degree weather.
And speaking of the Big Ten, as much hype as the SEC gets, who has the most teams in the playoff? I just want to point that out before we continue. So you got 4 teams from the Big Ten. You got Penn State, Indiana, O State, Penn State. Did I say Penn State already?
Yeah.
So Penn State, Indiana, O State, and Oregon. Excuse me, because Oregon's the newest addition. I'm not used to saying Oregon.
Yeah, I'm about to say Oregon.
But can we applaud the Big Ten? I mean, I get, the SEC, it's a game every week.
It is.
But the Big Ten, as much as I hate to admit it, who's the defending champion? Who's the defending national champion? What conference are they from?
That's right.
Maybe they knew the plays before, but it didn't matter. The Big Ten still won. But my biggest thing is we have to. I get the SEC's the SEC, but we can't keep on showing this bias if we're gonna let this many Big Ten teams in.
Yeah, I agree. Especially since even last year. Keep in mind, before the Pac-12 even disappeared, they had 3 teams in playoff contention.
Yeah.
They had Oregon, Washington, and they had another team in there. They had 3 teams within the top 10 that were vying for playoff contention.
Absolutely.
So I feel like all those contenders went to the Big Ten. The Big Ten has really became, took the Pac-12 and even, made their conference even more stronger that could eventually compete with the SEC as well.
That's what I'm saying.
So shout out to the Big Ten. So, appreciate y'all and holding it down. And Bryson, you ready to get into this? Get into this bracket, man.
All right, cool.
All right, give us 1 second, y'all. We're gonna be right back. Where we'll be picking our games to watch, teams to watch, and then we'll break down this playoff bracket and even give y'all our predictions for this whole bracket. So,
yes, sir.
Give us 1 second. Hear a word from us, real quick.
Stay tuned.
All right, guys, we are back.
Yes,
we are here to break down this bracket and give y'all our predictions of not only the first round, but also who will win it all in our eyes. So we're gonna start off with the first round game. So Bryson, you'll go ahead and give your prediction for this 12-5 matchup between Texas and Clemson.
If I'm being honest, I know the spread's like 12. Texas wins this game in convincing fashion. Because first of all, Clemson, yes, they're ACC champs. They have done nothing, though, to prove that they're in any way, shape, or form good enough to beat Texas. There's no way. I think they dropped one to South Carolina to end their season, too.
They did.
So, I mean, Clemson has just been so up and down. I don't see them having enough star power to keep up with Texas. No, sir.
Yeah, I will also agree. I'll go with Texas. Although I do think it will be closer than you think. The spread is 12. It will be closer than 12.
Okay.
I don't think Texas beats them handily. I think they will have to earn it a little bit, especially with the struggles of Quinn Ewers to start off this playoff run. There's a lot on the table for him. Yeah. He was projected to be the first overall pick even before the season, before Shador, before Cam, before all these quarterbacks. He has not lived up to the hype this year, and I think that's going to be the key factor in this is Arch Manning. Will we ever see Arch Manning in this? I don't know. I think if Quinn is not playing good, you could take him out, put Arch in, and you will be set. It don't matter who you're playing. It could be Oregon. It could be Indiana. You're going to be fine if you put Arch in through this bracket.
He's now, a starter on any other team.
And the reason why I said it was going to be close is mainly just because Cade Klubnik came on late this year. And that's why I said the 12-point favorite for Texas is kind of, a little bit big to me, especially since he had a decent ACC championship game performance. And so I think Cade Klubnik and them, they do come in there. They might give them a little scare. They might be up going into the fourth quarter, but I think Texas will pull it out in the end, and it will be close. So PTP, both of us had Texas moving on to face Arizona State.
Yep.
So next, we're going to talk about we're going to skip the next thing. We're going to say that one for last.
Yeah.
So the next thing we're going to talk about is the 6-11 matchup, SMU and Penn State. So I'll go first for this one because I'm not going to lie. When we were off camera, we were talking about this reviewing notes. I did say SMU. I said SMU. I did say SMU. But I think, this is their first time, in the big leagues. Just switched from, I think it was the American to the ACC.
Yeah.
Came in, took that conference over, and almost won the ACC title in their first year, which that would have been remarkable. I mean, still is remarkable. But at the end of the day, they're going up to Penn State. Penn State. Penn State, Probably gonna be, it might be whiteout conditions. I don't really know what the.
It is.
Oh, it is. Oh, yeah, it's wraps. So, the spread is 8.5. I think SMU will keep it close. I mean, they have been in, SMU has been in, I think, some decent atmospheres this year.
But I want to say it's a noon game.
It is a noon game.
It's not a night whiteout.
It is true.
It's a noon whiteout.
Which is why I do say that SMU will, keep it competitive. But I think Penn State in the second half, their defense is going to come out strong. James Franklin does.
Oh, so you changed it. You think Penn State?
Yeah. So I think Penn State is. So I think Penn State is going to come out. James Franklin going to come out and put their defense on the second half, and they're just going to have a spectacular performance and pull out late. So I got Penn State moving on to face Boise. Bryson,
and you got? I have SMU covering the 8.5 spread, but I do have Penn State still winning. They showed me something in that loss in the Big Ten championship against Oregon. They can score. Their defense stepped up. Drew Aller played like he's touched a football before finally. And I got Penn State, but SMU covers at 8.5. That's a little. That spread's kind of crazy.
It's a little big.
Considering Penn State.
Trusting Penn State like that is crazy.
Yeah, outside of that last game where they scored 38 40. They have not scored more than 20 points.
Yeah,
stop.
I could argue that was probably their best offensive performance.
Yeah, and I don't even
since
know.
Years. Saquon Barkley, like Saquon and Trace McSorley. Mm-hmm. Like it was crazy to notice that. Like I was watching a Big Ten title game, not even a Big Ten, a Big Ten game where Penn State scored more than 20 points.
Right,
that is kind of remarkable.
Right, it's crazy.
That is kind of crazy. So. Yeah, but I think we both got Penn State moving on to face Boise State in the Fiesta Bowl. Yeah. And then Bryce already gave us prediction for this, and I'll let him go on a little bit about this if you want to.
So, as y'all know, Indiana versus Notre Dame in South Bend on Friday. Correct, Friday.
Mm-hmm.
I just believe that IU wins this game because Notre Dame doesn't have that dog in them. IU has a dog. Granted, IU did get washed in Columbus, and we all expected. Let's be real, we expected that because they were on a high horse. They hadn't lost. They hadn't faced adversity.
Mm-hmm.
I think they are battle tested after that game, and I think IU goes into South Bend and shocks the world. Would it be shocking the world? Would it be?
In my opinion, and this is what I'll get into in my prediction. I have Notre Dame winning. Because I think, it's cold conditions.
Yeah.
Last time they played in the cold conditions this late in the year. And keep in mind, there's a stat on here that Notre Dame, in their last 5 games, has averaged 47 points a game. And keep in mind, they didn't play a conference championship. So it don't matter who the opponents are. Putting 47.2 points up a game your last 5 games of the season is crazy. They're playing some notable competition. I think USC was on there. Yeah. Granted,
A&M.
Granted, they were pretty bad.
USC was terrible.
Yeah, USC was terrible. Shout out to Lamar, will commit. But so keep in mind that. But at the same time, also Notre Dame has and around this time of year they look for teams to hit their peaks. So I think Notre Dame is in their peak. I think Indiana coming off because they did play Purdue. I think they beat Purdue. I think was it close? Was it close? I don't remember if it was close.
Indiana and Purdue.
Yeah.
You got to look that up. I have no idea.
I have no idea.
Why would I watch that?
Hey, but I think
no reason to watch.
But I think they beat them 66-0. Oh my goodness. But so I think Indiana.
Oh God.
So I think
Oh goodness.
I think Indiana does come in with their chip on their shoulder. The whole country is doubting them. They've doubted them all year. Let's be honest here. Like, I know you're a Ohio State fan, Big Ten fan. Y'all did wax them. But at the same time, they've still been doubted. What's interesting to me is, and I'm going to touch on this briefly, is that Indiana's quarterback got 2 first place votes for the Heisman.
Yeah.
Which
did Rourke.
Yeah. So that was interesting to me. But also,
I don't know about that, but
yeah, that's kind of crazy.
That's kind of crazy.
But at the same time, I think Indiana does come in and put up a fight, especially since this is really their chance, other than Ohio State game, to put themselves there on a national stage. Like Bryson said, Friday night, 8 p.m. on ABC. Chris and Kurt gonna be on the call probably.
South Bend.
it's gonna be a really good game. It is, in my opinion. In this first round, this probably going to be. I'm sorry, Bryson. I think 7-10 is going to be the game of the first round.
And I think I agree because I think Indiana Notre Dame, like we were talking about, it's an unofficial in-state rivalry. So we could have a treat on Friday.
We could.
We don't see them.
Yeah, but as we have it split, Indiana Notre Dame, moving on. So and then we're gonna review. Now I know I said the last game might be game of the first round. This one is obviously going to be favored to be first game of the round. As there's been a lot of speculations going into this week, me and Bryson have talked about it.
You can go first. Tennessee, say what you need to say.
Tennessee faithful.
I'm gonna go on.
Apparently has more than 40% of the tickets going to Columbus. That's absurd. That probably is not true. If it is,
madness.
I'm sorry. That's going to be crazy. But it's going to be a game. There's no doubt about it. Tennessee offensive, firepower. Defense has been stout. They come up in big moments when they needed to, especially against like we stated earlier, that Bama game. They did have some really good wins. They also had some really good lows when they lost to Arkansas. So it is going to come down to Nico, which I know this year he has looked rocky in tough environments. We haven't seen him look good in a tough environment since Oklahoma in week 3.
And I think, but he did go into Bama.
But he did. Well, no, Bama was at home.
No, that's what I'm saying. Tennessee went into Bama, right? Did Nico go into Bama?
No, Bama went into.
Oh, that's right. I'm tweeting.
So yeah. But also at the same time, Nico on the road has looked pretty rocky in road environments.
You're right.
But with that in mind, Ohio State has got so much to play for. I don't think I've seen a team on this kind of pedestal under this much pressure. Not even the whole program. One man. Forget the team for a second. One man is under so much pressure. The college football world is going to explode if Ohio State loses this game. And I know there's a lot of speculation. Everybody says Ryan Day don't come up in the big moments. I think this is one of the times he's going to shut people up. And I think he'll beat Tennessee. And also, bold prediction, I think he'll cover. He'll cover the spread.
7.5.
So, yeah, spread is 7.5. So, I got the Bucks winning at home and getting their rematch, a potential lick back against Oregon in the great almighty Rose Bowl. So, I'll let Bryson say his piece.
Oh, my God.
Because I know he's going to put a lot of heart and soul into this.
Okay. We obviously know who I'm picking. Yeah. Let's be real.
Go.
We obviously know who I'm picking.
Go ahead.
OHIO. You feel me? Ryan Day. If you lose this game after the unthinkable loss a couple weeks ago to the team up north, you will be fired on the field.
You might not make it off the field.
You better have your bags packed in wherever you are. I know you probably have a mansion out there in Columbus, but have them packed before the game just in case one of your Ryan Day choke performances come. But I'm picking my Bucks. I can't pick against my Bucks, but you cannot lose this game. Your job's on the line. The shoe will be rocking. Tennessee has never been to the playoff. We've been in this position.
Multiple times.
How much talent do you need? Quinshon Judkins.
B-Button.
Jeremiah Smith. Emeka Ibuka. Travion Henderson. Don't get me started on your first round defense who forgoed the draft for you. If you lose this game, you will not only hear from me on social media, because I'm going to DM you. The whole college football world, like he said, is going to be on us. And this is a fan talking. We deserve it.
This is a lifelong fan talking.
We deserve it. 20 million in NIL on this roster. And if we underperform and we can't beat Tennessee in our first playoff game, because I'm gonna be honest, as a fan, what I've seen, I can't talk, especially after that loss a couple weeks ago. It is natty or bust for the Buckeyes.
It is.
Absolutely.
It is indeed.
Natty or bust. So, of course, I got O-State. I got us covering.
Yeah.
7.5.
Yes, I agree with that.
Ryan Day. Remember what I said.
Mm-hmm.
I'm dead serious. Like, I'm not going
to
fire him on the field.
Yeah, and, there's a saying that we both know very well. Yeah. There is an alarm at the gate.
Yeah.
Ryan Day.
There is.
It's more than an alarm at the gate for you. Yeah. There's a bomb waiting behind the door.
And your seat's hotter than fish grease.
Mm-hmm.
It is. It's hot. It's hot. And when I tell you it's hot, it's hot. And it's honestly, if you win this game, you go play Oregon. Mm-hmm. You take down Oregon. You have to beat Oregon. After that loss we took in Eugene, it was Will Howard's fault. But that's another example of one of the big games you have to win to prove yourself. We are the standard at the Ohio State University. Mm-hmm. I don't care that your record's 55-9. Yes, I know your record by heart. I do. I know your record by heart, and I know we are extremely grateful to have such a successful coach. But these big games, we're not getting a James Franklin. We're not about to have that at Ohio State. That's not happening. We're not winning. We're not winning 10 or 11 games a year just to lose the big ones. No. We're not. Yeah. So we have to deliver on Saturday. I'm so pumped. I'm hyped. Do not disappoint me. I swear, don't disappoint me.
And just to touch on this one more moment before we move on to the quarterfinals, I do want to say, given that this is in the shoe, and we all know what happened the last time y'all played in the shoe. Point blank, period.
Absolutely. And unacceptable.
And I can speak as a neutral fan. An absolute disgrace and uncharacteristic light for the program at the Ohio State University football. Yeah. So I wouldn't even put this as much. Well, obviously it's on Ryan Day, but also you got to come out as players. Is if y'all want to show fight after the game, and y'all have a chance to redeem that in the playoff game on an even bigger stage than the game against a team up north, y'all got to come out and have some fire and bring that fight to an SEC team that honestly has their own resume that that competes with the rest of the teams in the SEC and not even SEC in this bracket too. And
you got to put that in the rearview mirror. Mm-hmm. That loss to the team up north, you got to put in the rearview mirror because guess what? We play them every year. You're gonna have another chance. You don't know if you're gonna get back to the playoff. Mm-hmm. Do we have a good chance of going back? Of course, but we haven't won a natty since 2014. I was in 7th grade. Mm-hmm. I have graduated college and I have an 8 to 5 every day. Mm-hmm. And I have not seen a national championship since then. Yeah. So we have something to prove. I don't care that we're Ohio State. We have something to prove. Ryan Day, your seat's so hot right now, it doesn't make sense.
Mm-hmm. All right, so now we're going to get into our quarterfinal matchups, in which the first one we both have mutually agree on is the 5 seed Texas playing 4 seed Arizona State in the Peach Bowl on New Year's at 1 p.m. on ESPN. Bryce, you want to go ahead and give your prediction for that one?
Yeah, to go back to what I said before, the seeding's messed up. There's no reason Arizona State should be waiting on like a team such as Texas. That's not really a bye for Arizona State. I think Texas doesn't just win this; they win it convincingly. I just don't think that's not even a matchup. Of course, Cam Scatteroo, he's a great player, but
great
Texas player. Is just going to be too much. Arizona State's just not on that level.
Yeah, I will also agree. I will also go Texas on that, and that's what I'm talking about. Like we mentioned earlier, like Bryson just said, the seedings in this, the 5 seed is set in the prime spot. Yeah, literally the prime spot to just walk into the semifinals. Yeah. It could, they're going to get the worst conference champion bid, automatic bid, 1st seed, off rip. Keep in mind they got to play the worst auto bid, 12 seed, off rip too. So it's like they're going to have a warm up game that gets them ready for whoever the 4 seed can be, and that should be an easy breeze cakewalk right into the semifinals. Now, given Arizona State, they have had a better year. Like Bryson said, the running back has put up a really good season, a very underrated season as well. That if they weren't in the Big 12, or if he wasn't in the Big 12, like a Big 10 or SEC, if he was doing this, it would be on a wider stage. But yeah, Texas, their talent is just too much for Arizona State in this matchup. Way too much. And with that, I think we both got Texas moving on to the semis for the Second time ever. Second time this is the second time. This is back-to-back years.
Back-to-back years.
So yeah, we think Sark's going to make it. So next, we'll skip the next one. We'll talk about Penn State and Boise State. Now, this one, like I said,
interesting.
It's going to be interesting. I also did go back and forth on this one because Penn State does have a really good defense. They really do. Yep. Like we mentioned earlier, their offense, whatever, but their defense is always going to show up when it matters. And keep in mind, they are playing an angry Ashton Jeanty that barely lost the Heisman. I think in this game, Boise State and primarily Ashton Jeanty are really going to have a chip on their shoulder. You know, Penn State, they just came off a really good game against SMU, but I think Boise is going to... I don't know if I call this an upset. Would you call it an upset? Somewhat.
That's an upset.
It's an upset.
I don't care. The seating's off.
Yeah.
That's an upset.
Yeah, so I'm going to give Boise the victory here in the Fiesta Bowl, which you keep in mind, as an OU fan, I don't want to talk about Boise State and Fiesta Bowls. So
I'm dead.
So,
looking loud.
But Statue of Liberty. So I got Boise winning this and advancing to the Final Four in the semis. So, Bryson, what you got?
I understand what KJ's saying. Ashton Jeanty, obviously, Heisman finalist, great year. That front seven of Penn State, I think, doesn't shut them down, but limits them. And then it'll lead to them having to throw the ball in that quarterback who really isn't used to winning them games this year to have to deliver. And I think Penn State overpowers them, and Penn State moves on to the semis. But I think the game is within single digits.
Yeah, I think it will be close. I think it will be close. I can see this coming down to a field goal.
Yeah,
in my opinion. And usually the Fiesta Bowls always deliver. I think it's been one of the better New Year's Six games the last couple of years.
Absolutely.
So I think it's gonna be a really competitive game. And either way, I mean, both of these teams, are gonna have a big matchup or a bad matchup either way for the next game for the winner of which I think we both have different winners of this game. In my bracket, I have Notre Dame facing Georgia. And this one I was very back and forth on. I feel Georgia, they're going to come out given Carson Beck is out due to injury. Who knows if he'll be back? I don't think he will be. But I don't know if I trust Georgia with a backup quarterback. I don't know. Now, me personally, they do have, obviously, they're going to be Georgia. They're always going to have the players to take them to a natty. It don't matter if it's on defense, offense, special teams. It don't matter. Absolutely. The talent's always going to be there.
Absolutely.
And keep in mind, their defense, they did step up against Texas. They did. Combine that with, Quinn Ewers kind of looking but also at the same time, Georgia's defense has looked spectacular. It's the reason why they got this 2 seed, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
Is because of their defense. Now, I know they did have, that 8 OT, miracle game against Georgia Tech, which that was wild. But I think in this game, in the last game, Texas exposed their weakness. Their run defense is pretty, is getting exposed. They got exposed against Texas, and here comes the Notre Dame team that not only has put up 47 points in the last 5 games, they also have a really good running backfield with Riley Leonard. So, in my opinion, it's going to be really tight. It's going to be close. It's going to be really close. But give me the Fighting Irish. This is my big upset, and the biggest upset in this bracket to make it to the Orange Bowl to face Boise. And, so that's who I got.
As y'all know, I chose IU to upset Notre Dame in the first round. But let's all be real. IU with that weak O-line, they stand no chance against Georgia. I don't care if they have me out there at quarterback. Georgia beats Indiana convincingly. If Indiana pulls off that upset in South Bend, but I do got Georgia winning, and I think it's gonna be ugly for Indiana. But applaud to Indiana in my head that they got past the first round. So.
Indeed, yeah.
Yes, sir.
So if they make it to the semifinals, that right there, that should give Cignetti at least a 10-year extension. Mm-hmm. Like, he should get a statue at that point. Yep. So, that's pretty much our next games. And last but not least, we both got the rematch of Ohio State and Oregon. Yep. Now, this is a game right here that I think if this happens, it will be game of the year in the Rose Bowl. You know, both these teams, very prestigious football programs, blue bloods, top of the game.
But one hasn't won anything.
And also keep in mind, you know, both these teams do have really good, you know, performances in the Rose Bowl game. Yeah. And obviously, Oregon is going to have the advantage. I wouldn't say home field advantage, but they are going to have the fan advantage because they are closer. Yeah. But at the same time, we all know Ohio State travels. They're going to travel to the Rose Bowl, especially given the last time we saw Ohio State in the Rose Bowl.
Jackson Smith.
We saw Jackson Smith and Jigba literally put up a masterclass with C.J. Stroud.
Never seen anything like that.
Never seen anything like that. So I think this is due. We are due for an instant classic, just like we had back earlier in the year in Eugene. And Oregon does have, you know, the firepower to win this whole thing. That is not, you know, that's well known.
But it's different if you haven't been there before.
And I do think, like I said last game, Ohio State, they have a chip on their shoulder.
We do.
The whole college football world has them on a spotlight right now.
They do.
And
it's facts.
As the saying goes in college football, it's hard to beat a team twice in college football. So give me the Buckeyes in the Rose Bowl.
And, of course, I had the same pick as him. But what I have to say is Oregon, this was tough for me, like even as an Ohio State fan, because Oregon's obviously undefeated, 13-0. Mm-hmm. They're proven. Great passing attack. I think his name's Tez Johnson.
Mm-hmm. Tez Johnson,
one of the best receivers in the nation.
Yeah.
Dylan Gabriel, Heisman Finals.
Shout out Dylan Gabriel.
I think James at the running back.
Yeah.
That dude's a monster.
Yeah. They got weapons all over the field.
But
weapons all over the field.
You haven't won anything in your program history. Just remember that. So
even Marcus Mariota with the Heisman.
But I think this is a shootout.
Oh yeah.
I think it comes down to either a late touchdown by the Bucks or late field goal. Mm-hmm. I think O State barely pulls it out. I can see. I would say a score 45-42 Ohio State.
Wow.
In an absolute Rose Bowl classic like we keep getting in the Rose Bowl. Mm-hmm. So I have that down for Ohio State to go to the semis and face the Longhorns of Texas in that Cotton Bowl.
And also, I want to put a bold prediction here as well. I think the difference in this game, if it does happen between Ohio State and Oregon, I think Will Howard will actually come up and actually, perform to the level that he always should be performing.
Because he remembers sliding. He slid down with 6 seconds.
He does.
Forgot that we had a timeout.
So, I think...
And somebody put... in. I'm not gonna say who, but one team put 12 men on the field on purpose. But we're not gonna get into that. We're not.
So first we're gonna talk about. Let's talk about our Orange Bowl predictions. Yeah. So first we're gonna start off with my Orange Bowl predictions, which is Boise State and Notre Dame, which I never thought I'd utter those words in college football.
That's unreal.
And that's what this, bracket provides. It provides uncertainty. It provides, and I know there's a lot of conversation going out there saying, because football is different than basketball, that there won't be that much madness. Usually the better team always wins. Yeah. That is not going to be the case in this bracket. So for the people out there who say that, there's not going to be upsets in the bracket, you're wrong. You're stupid. You don't have a brain. So,
and even all year they were saying, for example, in the SEC, there'd be no way Alabama gets left out of the SEC championship. It just happens.
Yeah, so college football is about chaos. This bracket is gonna deliver the chaos. Don't think that Penn State, even the games we call in the first round, don't even think Penn State's gonna walk in and dog walk SMU. That's not gonna happen.
It's not.
That's just not gonna happen.
It's not.
If it does, then That's just not gonna happen. There's like a 1 in 10 chance that's gonna happen.
We just saw Davis Warren go in Columbus, Ohio.
Yeah,
and somehow beat Ohio, which you could blame that on coaching, you could blame that on Will Howard, but that just shows the parity and the uncertainty in college football this year.
So,
yes, sir.
But yeah, so in my Orange Bowl prediction, I got Boise State and Notre Dame. Now this is gonna be a game right here. It's gonna be a traditional college football game.
Yeah.
Boise State with that running attack, Heisman contender.
Yeah.
Ashton Genty, and Notre Dame. They're always going to have that running game going. Their offensive line is stout, and they also have a pretty good defense to back that up as well. But also, Boise State is can put up a fight too on defense as well. I mean, although they haven't faced nobody, the only people they faced was Oregon. They did put up a fight against Oregon in Eugene. Mm-hmm. So don't think Boise State is going to get dog walked. They could make it to the semifinals, and I think that in this game, I think it's going to come down to just experience, big game moments, and I think Notre Dame is going to slip away late. I think Ashton Genty is going to have another Ashton Genty type of performance. Now I don't know if he'll put up the 230,
which is insane.
Which that's insane.
Yeah,
which
that's
also
asking a lot.
Which also I am going to put in this prediction as well. Ashton Genty will break the single season record for all rushing yards. I feel like that. I feel like he will do it either against Penn State, and if he gets past Penn State, he will do it at Notre Dame. He's gonna get it done in this.
I like that.
He's gonna get it done in this. But I think when it comes down to it, and when it comes down to prime time, late fourth quarter, I know you talk bad about Marcus Freeman, but also keep in mind there's Riley Leonard on that field. There's a bunch of experience around him, obviously with the portal guys, and I mean the power is just gonna overmatch the Mountain West. It just is. Although they are independent, Notre Dame is still, a top-tier football program. And I think they're going to prove that in the Orange Bowl. And I think that'll move them to the Benz Dome for the national championship game. So that's who I got.
Side note, I would like to comment about this whole Georgia Dome thing. Why on the God's green earth is the Sugar Bowl there? The SEC championship there and the national championship in the Georgia. That's crazy, but I digress. The Orange Bowl for me, I had Penn State versus Georgia. This is a game. This would be a game.
That would be a game.
That would be a game.
That would be a game.
I have Georgia winning off the sole fact they have showed in the past few weeks, they find a way to win. Georgia finds a way to win. I don't know how they do it. Georgia finds a way to win. I wouldn't be surprised if Penn State were to win this game, though. And I can't believe I'm saying that because James Franklin is a bigger choke artist than Ryan Day, and that's saying a lot. God, that's saying a lot. But Penn State gonna come in there, they're gonna try to run the ball against Georgia, and like you said, that might be Georgia's weak point.
It is.
I think Georgia, though, finds something. Kirby Smart's going to make an adjustment in the second half. Because I think Penn State goes into halftime in this game up.
Wow.
But then I think the adjustments by Kirby Smart, never say die. His team just doesn't die.
They don't. That defense is...
It's real, bro.
They never go away.
Can you trust Drew Allar? Just ask yourself that.
Well, it depends because in this bracket, he could pull up as the one, that faced Oregon that almost outdueled Dylan Gabriel, the Heisman contender. So, you got to keep that in mind, Bryson,
But he's Drew Allar. That's what we got to remember. He's got to show me some. He got to show me some more stats, highlights, all that.
Hey.
So I got Georgia advancing to the national championship.
And then we're going to talk about this Cotton Bowl that we both got, which is Texas and Ohio State,
What a game.
This man,
what a game.
Can we applaud I know the seating is bad, but can we applaud how they did this top bracket? I'm sorry. Other than Arizona State, can we applaud how they gave us this beauty of a top bracket, man?
What a game.
This top bracket, it has so many good games in this top bracket.
Oh, my God.
It looks insane.
What a game that would be.
If this was I'm sorry, Oregon. this would be the Cotton Bowl that everyone would want to see right
Absolutely.
here. Like, I get, like,
I wouldn't mind.
I wouldn't mind Oregon and Texas.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind watching
But Bryson, like you did mention while we were off camera, this is a preview for the first week 1 of the 2025 season right here. And what a way to have a preview of that matchup in the Cotton Bowl on January 10th.
Insane, bro.
With,
That'd be insane work.
2 of the best rosters in college football going at it in the Cotton Bowl. And this is going to be a game. It's going to be really close. Like we mentioned this whole time, Ohio State always going to have a chip on their shoulder. They're going to have pressure on them. But also you got Texas coming in, very talented roster, stacked top to bottom with all kinds of talent. Got a Manning disciple. And I really think that in this game, Ohio State is going to battle.
Yeah.
I think they'll end up going into the fourth quarter, maybe even like halftime. They're going to be up in this game. I think they'll be up in this game majority of the game. But I think if Quinn goes cold, they got the Heisman contender right behind Quinn and the Manning disciple.
Even if he were to get hurt or something.
Even the Manning disciple behind him, ready to suit up whenever, that has big game experience, who has gotten in these games where, where Texas was on their back wall, like they were in Aggie land, and he picked them right back up and didn't lose a beat. So I think that could be a difference in this game, and I think if Quinn struggles, Arch is going to come in, swoop in, and put up a Tua performance and take Texas to the Natty. So I think Texas is going to pull away late. It pains me to say it as an OU fan. Texas in the Natty. Don't make me say it again.
This game was tough for me as well, and I'm telling y'all, I'm trying to keep my bias out of it, and I feel like O State is the most talented team probably in the field, and I think everybody.
I agree with that.
They're the most talented team in the field. Texas gives Ohio State a hell of a game, and if it's not even, it might be better than the Oregon.
Ooh.
Will it be better than the Oregon? We'll see.
We'll see.
But I got Ohio State pulling it out to go to the Natty. Just off the sole fact, Texas, great team.
Mm-hmm. Sark is doing his thing. He is doing his thing down there.
If O State is at this point, I think they're in a rhythm. I think Ryan Day found. Yeah. He found it. If they make it to this game, they found something.
That is true.
They found something that will be very hard to defeat.
Yeah. In which I think the game that will determine this whole bracket is that Ohio State and Oregon game. Because if I know I picked Texas, but like Bryson said, if Ohio State comes in, because that's a good point. If Ohio State comes in and beats Oregon,
that'd be 3 straight wins. But
not only that. You get your revenge game in the shoe for redeeming, the show that happened back against Team Up North. And also you revenge your biggest loss of the season against Oregon in Eugene, which I think that would be, you're being the best team in this bracket.
Yeah.
So I think by this time, I could 100% see Ohio State running the table from here on out. That could happen.
Because you don't fear anybody after that.
Yeah, because after that...
You beat Oregon, you get over that speed bump.
Why would you fear Texas after beating Oregon? Why would you fear Texas?
You found something.
Why would you fear Georgia at that point if you make it to the Natty? Like you wouldn't fear anybody else other than this bracket.
So, for my bracket to make sense, I have Ohio State going to the national championship in the Georgia Dome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and in my bracket, sorry Bryson, I think Arch is gonna do it for him and is gonna take him to the Natty. So,
and unfortunately, we would get Georgia. In the Georgia Dome in my bracket,
which
the national championship,
if you make the callback
3 years ago, there was a kick put up at the ball drop of midnight on New Year's Eve
in 2023.
CJ Stroud, Stetson Bennett on the other side.
What a classic that was,
and it broke my heart. No other.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about avenging. I think Ohio State exercises the demons. And they knock off Georgia for revenge for the national championship. And I think that would be the greatest thing, of course, for me. But I feel like story-wise, that would be amazing to see. Like you said,
it's poetic. At that point, it'd be poetic.
We
like,
avenge
that's a storybook
the shoe.
ending.
We avenge the shoe. We avenge Oregon. We knock off Texas. We win the Natty. Ryan Day saves his job. Mm-hmm. Let me say that again. Ryan Day saves his job. Because there's no way you're going to be coaching in Columbus if you lose Saturday. I'm going to let you know.
Well, hold on. Okay, so let me ask you this. Do you think, even if he makes it past Tennessee, if he loses to Oregon, say he makes it past Oregon, if he loses to Texas,
he'll keep it.
Will he keep his job?
He'll keep it if, realistically, he'll keep it if he beats Tennessee.
Okay.
If he doesn't beat Tennessee, there's no way.
Okay.
There's no way. There's no way he keeps it. But if we beat Tennessee, we lose to Oregon, we can make an argument for him to keep it. Mm-hmm. You can't make an argument for a first round next year. After losing to the team up north, we don't even get a shot at the Big Ten championship again. Yeah. So you got to win one. You got to at least win one.
That would
keep your job. You have to win at least one.
That would be insane.
It would.
So in my national championship, I got Notre Dame and Texas.
Yes.
In my opinion, this would also be a good game as well, a good national championship game.
He's gonna hate saying this.
Yeah,
he's gonna hate
I am.
This.
I already hate saying this. You got in my argument. Well, I wouldn't say they were the two best teams all year, but consistently they were probably easily in the top 4 best teams consistently all year.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even when Texas lost to Georgia, let's all be for real, they were still like. One of the 4
and
best
that just
teams.
comes with the gauntlet of the SEC.
So
you're gonna drop to beat Bama and Georgia in the same year. That's tough.
Real tough.
That's tough. And not to mention they went into College Station, knocked off A&M to go to the SEC championship.
That ain't been done since Burrow in 2019. Keep that in mind. Yeah. So just to call back for the last time that Georgia and Bama lost to the same team in one year.
Yeah.
So So and then you got the Fighting Irish coming in. I mean. Forbid they did have that loss to NIU. I still can't get my head wrapped around why they're here.
Yeah.
But
it's insane.
But at the same time, they did run the table, and out of this whole field, they did look like the best team coming into this field consistently. I mean, Oregon. I mean, they faced better opponents, but they've had some struggles. Notre Dame has faced mid opponents.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they blew them out by 40 each game.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, they can if they run this table and they meet Ohio State or Texas, Oregon, they're going to give them a run for their money down here, and they're also going to be in that rhythm as well. And we've seen obviously like the last 5 games of the year, like always, like I've repeated, they've been an offensive force. So
they really have.
They've been an offensive force. So they're going to roll into this game on high. Like they're going to be at that point neck and neck with whoever they face, talent wise and momentum wise. But I think when it comes down to it, man. Oh, God. Pray for me, y'all. Pray for me. I think Texas will walk out of Mercedes-Benz with that CFP trophy. Just because off the sheer fact.
Hurts so bad.
Trust me. My heart is shattering into pieces saying this.
I told him last year when I had to watch the team up north win it all. It was one of the. It felt like I lost. Mm-hmm. Watching that, it felt like I still lost. So
yeah, I ain't felt this bad about team watching since the Chiefs won the Super Bowl last year. Man. I felt bad as a Raiders fan.
That was tough.
But I mean, Texas is gonna walk in here. If they get past Clemson, they're gonna get. If they get past Clemson, Arizona State, cool.
Yeah.
If they get past Ohio State, which at this point Ohio State is gonna give them a run for their money. That is gonna be a game. That probably going to be, you said it was going to be like a 45-42 for Oregon. Ohio State's going to come in high, and this is probably going to be the same type of game where it's going to be high scoring.
Yeah.
But if they get past that Ohio State, whoever they face in that other pool, I just don't see them losing. Even if it's to Georgia and they get that rematch and they lost to Georgia twice in 1 year, I don't think Sark is going to let them lose 3 times in a row.
I don't think so either.
I don't think that would happen. I don't see that happen.
If you lose to a team 3 times,
that's crazy. That would be wild.
That's crazy.
That would be wild. And trust me, I would love to see that. But like I say, if Texas makes it to the Natty, bro, they're gonna win it. It don't matter who they're facing on this other side. I don't see any team on this other side of this bracket that is beating Texas. Let alone any of these teams, like the top contenders, obviously Texas, Ohio State, and Oregon. And if any of those teams make it up to this point, and really, actually, I'd debate if any of these teams, like even Arizona State, Tennessee, Clemson, if either of these teams makes a national championship, they're not losing to the other team down here.
It's too heavy.
It's
loaded on that side. It's loaded.
Too top heavy.
It's top heavy on that side.
It's top heavy up here.
And that's what we were complaining about with the seeding. There's no reason why one or two of those teams aren't on the other side. Like because my prediction, I didn't even get to go to my national championship prediction at the beginning of the season. It was Ohio State and Texas. But the fact that they're gonna possibly be playing each other in the semis, I mean,
which was the case in the 14 playoff. Like for instance, whenever y'all played Georgia, everybody assumed that was the Natty. Even last year, whenever Michigan played Bama, I wouldn't say people assumed that was actually. No, I take that back because that wasn't really Natty because it was kind of balanced that year. But there have been years where like the semifinal game was really the Natty game.
Absolutely.
I feel like when it comes to this year, whoever is going to that Cotton Bowl, that is going to be the Natty game. That most likely will be the Natty game. Whoever is in that Cotton Bowl. So I mean, the only reason why I don't trust Georgia is because they don't have Carson Beck, which means their offense would be. They would still have a passing game, but it would probably be primarily one-dimensional running. It would be that, and
that's my concern. I put them in the Natty, but that's still I'm very concerned.
I don't know if I trust a Georgia team to be heavily reliant on defense. I mean, given 2022 happened, or was it 2021, 2022?
Which one?
Where they had Stetson Bennett and Indy, and they beat Bama. I think that's 2022.
Yeah,
it's 2022. So, but that defense was, I'm pretty sure they had first, second round draft picks at every position.
Absolutely.
So, I don't think this year, I mean, given they do have a good defense, I just don't think that Georgia's defense can carry them all the way to an A this year. I'm sorry, this pool is too talented. This pool is too talented.
There's no way.
There is no way Georgia is going to.
I'm being generous giving them the Natty, like getting it to.
I don't see a way that Georgia could Georgia their way to a Natty. They can't.
There's no
in this
way.
Bracket, there's no way. Especially like Bryson said, there's a lot of offensive firepower in this top half of this bracket. Whoever gets to them, even if they make a national championship, whoever gets to them in the Natty, they're going to face a really good offense. They're going to face like a top 10 offense all year in this bracket if they make it to the Natty. And I just don't think, at that point, Georgia's defense is going to be burned out because they're going to be in select fights against Notre Dame, who runs the ball, run ball university. And then even if they face Boise or Penn State, run the ball university. So it's like...
It'll be worn down.
They're going to be a worn down defense. They might have to sustain some injuries up to this point. You also got to keep that in mind, too. With a bigger playoff pool, there's more potential for injuries and more potential for more players to get out. So, in my opinion, Georgia makes it, but whoever they face, in my opinion, if it's Texas, Ohio State, Oregon, it don't matter. They're going to lose. Flat out simple. They are.
I agree.
So, but regardless, I got Texas as my national champion. Our national champion being Notre Dame, and that will be a slugfest. And I think we're due for a really good playoff. And regardless of our predictions, all we hope for as college football fans that this playoff delivers. We obviously had our complaints throughout the whole year, complaints about seeding, complaints about rankings throughout the whole year since they came out.
And you're not going to please everybody.
You're not.
There's just no way. You're not going to please everybody. People complained when there was a 4 team. There needs to be more. Now it's too many or the seed's off. So you're not going to please everybody. But as college football fans, we do have to appreciate the fact that they're trying to give us good games, especially for the national championship. I feel like even though it's top heavy in that one side of the bracket, plenty of good games that could potentially happen. So
very good games.
Yeah, we really can't.
Very good.
We can't complain too much. All right, so that's all I got to say about it.
Yeah, I mean, and also just to know, just Bryson, real quick, who do you think will be? I don't know if they have this award for the playoff, but who do you think will be your college football playoff MVP? Who would you pick? Any person on this bracket? This is a prize question for you. I know I threw this one on you, but who do you think one player to watch in this whole tournament that could take their team to the promised land, to a natty? Who do you think? On which team? It actually only got to be. It could be a team. It could be a team or it could be a player.
Does it got to? Because I feel like the MVP's got to come from your champion, right?
Well,
doesn't it?
I mean, the Heisman doesn't come from the best player on the best team. So it could be anybody. So,
but I think
or your most impactful player of this whole playoff run.
Oh, okay.
Or something like that. Yeah.
All right.
So
I look at Isaiah Bond at Texas. That's gonna be a problem. Even when like just in my matchup where Ohio State versus Texas, I'm so scared of that. Like to have to guard him. Isaiah Bond, but
I already know who you're gonna say.
There's a true freshman that wears number 4 for the Ohio State University. And I feel like if teams cannot find out how to slow him down or lock him up, Jeremiah Smith will be the best player in the playoff. Every game. Either him or Quinshon Judkins.
Okay.
Well, I take that back because we split carries between Travion and Quinshon, so they both don't like outshine really. It's like the Sonic and Knuckles thing the Lions got. But I say Jeremiah Smith. Yeah.
So I'm gonna give 2 actually. I'm gonna give, since we're on topic of Ohio State, I'm gonna give Ohio State 1. Easily the most impactful player on Ohio State's team, if they make a deep playoff run, will be Will Howard.
It will be Will Howard.
It will undoubtedly be Will Howard.
Because that means he would have delivered in huge moments, probably.
I mean, these are defenses. I mean, keep in mind, he has to go up against an SEC defense week 1 that held their own in the SEC that was a top 3 team in the SEC. And if he manages to escape them, then he has to face an Oregon defense that is stout at every single position. Not only that, you're on the biggest stage of them all, the Rose Bowl, with a chance that if you get past that point,
you got to probably face another SEC.
You got to face another SEC team that is stout at every position. So,
and then in my bracket, you're gonna face another SEC defense.
Yeah.
So I agree. I actually changed my answer. If we get this far, if we win, Will Howard will be the most impactful player in the playoffs.
And my most important point with Will Howard as well, you did not end off the season well against Michigan.
No, you didn't. You played awful.
Like not only, like I would argue that the second biggest person that has a pedestal on them other than Ryan Day is Will Howard.
Absolutely. And that's not because, Will had a bad season. Will had a great season. It's just the circumstance we're in now with the loss to the team up north and the loss prior to Oregon. So, Will Howard, you're put in a position where delivery is key. You have to make the right throws. You do force the ball in the tough pockets.
I do
double coverage.
I do agree with that.
I don't know why you do it. I don't know why you panic. You literally can run. I've seen you. You're fast. So Will Howard's got a lot of pressure. He's a 5th-year senior. This is what you came to Ohio State for, right? You came. You already didn't fulfill your one promise when you said you was gonna beat them. But anyways, you came to win a national championship. You came to compete in the college football playoff. You're a 5th-year senior. You're battle tested. You were in the Big 12. I believe he was in the Big 12 championship with Deuce Vaughn and them. So we're gonna see. We're gonna see. I'm nervous, bro. I'm nervous. I can't lie. I'm nervous.
And then my last player that I would like to go with, me personally. Well, also, I'm a quick honorable mention. Georgia, like we mentioned, Georgia's defense is going to have to step up throughout this whole time. Literally put the whole team on their back if they want to make it to the playoff or make it to the semis or the national championship. But really, if Boise State wants to make a run in this thing, Ashton Jeanty needs to make the case to the whole world
why he got robbed. And we don't think he got robbed.
And you got half the nation thinking that you were robbed.
Yeah.
You got to come out. That honestly, if that was me, that would put a fire in me that, the only way I could redeem that loss is by winning a natty.
You got to use it as motivation.
So, like I said, he is going to break the record. But at the same time, I feel like he needs to have that hunger in him that if Boise State, keep in mind they do get the bye.
Which is ridiculous.
They do get the bye. So you got to use that to your advantage. And you're going to face, a beaten up team coming off that game or, in the Fiesta Bowl.
Or you could get a hot team.
But at the same time, you got robbed of the Heisman. And you were talking about practicing your speech. Boy, you better be practicing them plays and better be watching that film because
best believe you talked about in your Heisman case you had the whole defense after you. Mm-hmm. Now, okay, you're gonna be playing a defense where they don't all have to come after you, but they still are gonna. It's gonna feel like that because of how good a defense you're probably gonna see.
And no matter what defense you play, even if it's Penn State, SMU, which SMU, I mean...
I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, SMU.
You'll run over SMU.
Yeah, you'll run over SMU.
But Penn State...
But if you face a Penn State and say you make it past Penn State, you got to face a Notre Dame, Georgia, Indiana they could run through. But like if you face a Notre Dame or Georgia...
They're gonna like they're going to do you dirty.
All it takes is a front seven. That's all they need, really, is the front seven to take care of that. So I think if Boise State makes a deep playoff run, I think the most valuable player and the most impactful player in this bracket will be Ashton Jeanty.
Yes, sir.
And
I agree.
I mean, that's pretty much all we got to say about this bracket, man. So, that's all we got for that. And we'll be back shortly to close it out. All right, y'all. So that concludes our first episode back of the revival of the PTP.
Yes.
So we appreciate y'all for watching us on YouTube, whether on YouTube where you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, wherever you listen to your podcast at. We appreciate y'all listening to us. Shout out to Anchor for putting us in, getting us back on it, and let us know if you guys want us to do any other sports in the future. We will be back posting content soon. We're gonna try to do this at least every week. And we are going to talk about more sports. We primarily focused on college football just because, everything is ramping up in the college football world. So we want to touch on that before it was too late. And make sure y'all follow us on our IG page, PTP Takes. And also our Instagram, personal Instagrams will be there. Yeah. And also make sure y'all about to start up a TikTok page. Make sure you follow that as well. We'll be on TikTok soon, right before it gets banned. But just keep in mind, we're going to be posted on there as well. And Bryson, you got anything else you want to say to the fans?
No, it's all love, man. I love doing this. Thanks for the support, and we're gonna try our hardest to bring you content that's entertaining, that's funny, but also informative and enjoyable, and it shows our passion in sports. So that's my biggest thing. I just appreciate it, and I love doing this. I love it.
Yeah. So with that in mind, y'all, PTP. See y'all later.
Yes, sir.